This morning, my dear friends, I was meditating with a community of enclosed nuns on this gospel in a beautiful monastic church. And in that context, because it was the end also of a retreat, especially for the brother of the superior, who was a priest, therefore a priestly retreat, we were meditating on this question of front-line battle. How a priest is really a priest when he is actually saving souls. That is to say, the priest is truly a priest when he is before a soul, not before a piece of paper. He is in the first instance a fisher of men, and anything else must be in function of that and never crowded out. But then these dear hidden souls who spend their time in that particular monastery in unbroken adoration day and night and very beautiful liturgy, supremely well executed hour after hour in the liturgical hours, one then invites them to see what means the mystical body. We're all in this together. For as the Gospel points out, the Father can't bear the thought of the loss of one soul. And I was quoting Pope Pius XI, who insisted, despite the fact that he was the great missionary pope, who canonized Thérèse of Lisieux, for instance, and made her co-patron of the missions, he did insist that without the contemplative life, very meager fruits would be reaped by those who preach and those who go to the missions. The mystical body is a great organism, and each has his role. But the perfect combination is not necessarily an either and an or, but a both and. And we see that the great pastors of souls were also great contemplatives. Close to us, Padre Pio, a century earlier, at least a century earlier, Jean-Marie Vianney, Creux-Vars, very similar gifts they had. People who went into ecstatic mode, it would seem, and yet had extreme efficacy in what they did. Whereas when one looks around the globe, one sees much brilliant programming. For instance, pastoral work extremely well chiseled and organized, bound to succeed, and yet often it remains with a spectacular immediate and very little long-term success. Missions, for instance, which give the feel-good factor, but are not based in challenge, in penance, in genuine investigation of what the consequences are of serious sin, so that actually in a parish nothing changes. One is made to feel okay. Whereas these great saints didn't at all let people feel okay. Sin was sin, and they knew the gravity of it because they loved God and saw what hurt his heart. So that, in a sense, is the correct combination. Loving souls because we love the Redeemer and see how much he loves them and is hurt by those who do not realize that they're offending him. I concluded this morning with a little story I'll conclude with for you. It's precisely this model of priests. In fact, he is by now the patron of the priests of the world, Jean-Marie Vianney, parish priest of Ars in France. One day, two young men had gone a long journey to go to confession to him. And they were tired when they got to the village and found a place in the auberge, the place where pilgrims could stay the night, because there was a lot of queuing going on. They went to sleep, and one slept without a break all night. But the other woke up around midnight and heard something very strange. At first he couldn't believe his ears, so he got up and opened the window to see if it was objective or just isn't in his head. And it was objective reality. He could hear a sound of a beauty that he'd never imagined could exist. It was not made of human source or any instrument that is known to man. It was not even human voice. It was angelic singing. It was beautiful harmony, supremely heavenly, celestial, ecstatic beauty. He tried to go back to sleep and eventually did get some sleep, but then when it came to his confession, after the other one who just had normal confession, when it came to his turn, the parish priest of Ars himself opened the guichet of the confessional, and himself he said, "Did you hear the angels singing last night?" "I did." "What was that all about?" "Well, my friend, at that point, the greatest sinner in the whole world was being converted." Of course, we have no idea who it was. Cure Vase knew who it was, but we have no right to know. It'll be a mystery until we get to heaven. But that's what was happening. Apparently, somebody was somewhere on this planet at that moment returning from the depths of sin and darkness and its consequences to light and peace and harmony and relationship. In one moment of time, eternity was changing course. Now these souls, Cure Vase, were very much anchored in the beyond, and for that reason took very seriously the drama of saving souls one to one.